This is The Prodigal Perspective, presented by EA Recovery.
I'm Damon.
And I'm Matt, and this is The Prodigal Perspective.
Welcome to the show today, and today we're going to talk about a heavily debated topic in the recovery world. But before we do that, I just want to throw out a disclaimer. We're not medical professionals. Like I said, we're not psychiatrists. We're not going to give you any sort of clinical diagnosis.
No, we're just going off of our experience, and this is what we do every day. So we've also, I can't speak for everybody, but I've been on Suboxone before, so I can speak from that perspective.
And so we're going to talk about what the recovery world has been at each other's throats about for a long time now, and that is the word sobriety. We're also here with Justin Wellborn. He is the director of admissions at Serenity Park, and he also has his own experiences with this subject, and of course some of these medications that we're going to be talking about today. One side says if you're taking Suboxone, you have literally basically traded one addiction for the next, and the other side says at least you're not in the morgue dead. So we're just going to jump off in the weeds and get started. The definition of recovery, the definition of sobriety, I think is important too. So I mean, what's y'all's take on that?
I mean, recovery has a lot of different meanings, I think, but when you're dealing with, substance use disorder, I believe, in my opinion, recovery means abstinence from all substances.
Okay, so in abstinence, is that does that negate the fact though that a person, say they are, they have substance use disorder and their primary substance is opiates, and so to get out of the withdrawal state, I mean, do you believe that a person can use medicines like Suboxone or methadone or whatever to get through detox?
I mean, I fully support the use of Suboxone in a detox setting. It has plenty good things about it. Harm reduction for one. Two is to manage withdrawal symptoms, but I mean, at the same time, a lesson not learned in pain is a lesson soon forgotten. So I think if you go in for detox and you have no withdrawal symptoms, you're not feeling any sort of pain, you're just fine, then why are you going to be scared to? You're not going to, you know what I mean? Like, you're not going to learn anything from it.
Right.
I mean, I detoxed. The worst detox I ever had was in a one-man cell in Fulton County Jail.
Yeah, that's
and I'll remember that till the day I die.
I mean, it's that type of thing too that makes you not want to go through that because you have experienced the mental and the physical torture that brought. And and like here at Every Arkansan, I mean, we're faith based, and so a lot comes with that. And for one, we believe that God will spare you no sorrow to bring you to Himself. And I think sometimes, man, is that we're deep in these addictions, and we need that type of experience uh, to learn to submit to the Lord. Uh, you know what I mean?
So let me ask you this: if sobriety is the lack of substance, like if in order to be sober, I'm not on any mood or mind altering substance, then can you be sober on Suboxone?
I mean, and that's the question that gets all the controversy.
Yeah.
And I believe personally, I don't see where there's room for debate. I don't see it
Yeah.
because Suboxone is a
I think it's Schedule 3.
Schedule
Yeah.
3. It's an opiate. It's an opioid. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a classified opioid.
Yeah.
Right.
So
And actually, it's a lot stronger,
yeah,
and that's why they have to put the naloxone in it to kind of alleviate some of its strength and power.
yeah,
And so yeah, I mean, I totally agree to that, and I think it goes back to, what is the definition of sobriety here?
yeah.
I mean, I was looking up some of the Webster's dictionary and like the Christian definition for sobriety, and so the Webster says sobriety is the condition of not having any effects from alcohol or other drugs.
Yeah.
And so I think that's like the baseline of the argument. I mean, you have to establish that before you can have any more like groundbreaking conversation on this subject.
So then, like sobriety and recovery become completely two different things because, if that's the case, then I can enter into recovery or what we would maybe call like some part of lasting freedom, which we talk about, but like not technically be sober. Like, how does that work?
I mean, I think that dives off into the bridging aspect.
Right.
Okay, and so like once again, I want to preface that I'm not a medical professional on this by any stretch of the imagination, but I think about in the past 5 years I have been on SSRIs and SDRIs and medications like that have no euphoric effect whatsoever, but they have I've used them and they have taught me that in the situations where my brain may have been damaged from either my addiction or traumas or thought processes that I've had from the past that affect me currently, like they have been the bridging agent to help me overcome some of those negative thought processes. And then you get into cognitive behavioral therapy, in which we're a huge proponent of that here, and we're a huge proponent of that because you know, that's where science and the Bible they intersect, they meet, they prove one another in that, and I think that's one of the biggest things that we're missing in recovery. But to answer your question, or to answer my statement or whatnot, like I think to some degree, like medicines like Suboxone can be used for a bridging agent. I don't think it's. I think a doctor has to be very engaged. I think a doctor has to obviously be the one prescribing it, but he also has to be given like strict directives. The proper drug to along with it, but he also has to have a plan for this person to eventually get off of it. But then you get into the argument of the physical dependency that it's going to carry with it.
So do you think it has a place outside of like an inpatient environment?
I think that depends. I think that's a case by case basis. I mean, I've worked in recovery for 5 years now, and I've seen a lot. I'm confident in saying that some people aren't ready to fully embrace it and fully go, to the point of complete abstinence. So if that's the case, then that's when the harm reduction comes in. It's like, all right, so if I'm not taking Suboxone, I'm going to be taking fentanyl. Okay, well, we'll take Suboxone any day of the week.
Right.
But that's back where the controversy comes from. While you're on Suboxone and you're out, you're in sober living, you're going to outpatient, you're doing all these things, you're going to NA, AA, whatever the case may be, whatever your pathway to recovery. But should you be collecting chips? Should you be counting clean time? All these things. That's a very debated topic right there, like we're talking about. But I mean, what I said earlier, it comes down to, all right, you are still dependent on an opioid.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
Yeah.
I've seen people come in. I mean, I worked at a hospital at a detox unit for almost 4 years, and I've seen people come in with very, very low grade opiate use, like hydrocodone, something like that, taking minimal amounts, like 60, 70 milligrams a day,
Right.
which we're all three opiate addicts. We know
Yeah.
that's nothing.
Right.
But they've left on Suboxone.
Yeah.
So what kind of sense does that make?
Yeah, they traded a lesser evil for a more addictive, more powerful
Yeah.
evil.
That's like giving somebody a bottle of vodka to help them stop drinking beer.
And then I think like the responsibility lies on the doctor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, I just tested you for opiates. Like I'm talking to you. You say you're doing 4, 5, 6 hydrocodones a day. How does that suffice me prescribing a powerful opiate to help you overcome when really like you have a mental issue, and the mental issue is the thing that we have to battle. And then once again, that goes back to behavioral therapy. And so then you have to wonder. I mean, just like in the 2000s with the OxyContin. Okay, they all the doctors, all the salesmen. And I mean, you've seen the movies lately. They all say, "Well, this isn't addictive."
Yeah.
And because of that drug, we're sitting in here today talking about it.
Yeah.
And so some of the main push, the main maybe sales pitch, I don't know. Like I'm not in the rooms prescribing this stuff, but like it seems like some of the same conversation has come up about Suboxone. Well, it's not addictive. Well, I think we know better than that just based off our experience.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it comes down to the same thing that happened, with the big pharma and OxyContin. I think it comes down to lies, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, I've sat in rooms with doctors and therapists, and they have flat out said, like, Suboxone will not get you high. Suboxone, you cannot be addicted to Suboxone. And that's absolutely absurd.
So, I mean, I don't want to get you on the camera saying this, but would you say there's a dollar push?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can put me on camera
Yeah,
saying
you
that.
don't care. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
the profit
because you're
problem.
dealing with the back end of it. Yeah, you're dealing with the back end of it. You know, I think about, when I decided to get off opiates, and this was 9 years ago, like, and I didn't decide, like, in some weird way, like, God and His sovereignty put me in the position to where I was going to. That's kind of why I believe the way I believe about theology. But, you know, when I made up my mind that I will never do this again, as far as opiates, because of all the mental torture and the mental hell, man, and the physical hell and being sick all the time. Like, I made my mind up, if I ever get off of this stuff, I'm done. Now it wasn't that way for every addiction I had. Somewhere there in the middle, because of mental issues that I had, and mental health, and not even realizing that was the main problem that I had in my addiction. I wound up relapsing and wound up going back through the thing, and that was 5 years ago, and so now here, I've kind of studied up on like the cognitive behavioral therapies, and how the Bible intersects with that, and what it is at the end of the day. Like, I believe Suboxone has its medical purpose, and I think that is to detox, and it could be even, a slight bridging agent if it was some severe, like, outpatient treatment, or what's it, intensive outpatient treatment, if it was something like that. But at the end of the day, like, we as people coming, into recovery, we have work to do, and the work a lot of times is like retraining the way we think, and retraining like the neuroplasticity in our brains, man. And we want the easy fix, we want the easy way out, and a lot of times we're not willing to do what it takes to really fix the issue.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately, like, whenever I was on opiates, I turned to opiates to solve my problem. Like, whether my problem was being sick or emotional stress or whatever it was, I turned to opiates to solve that problem. When I got put on Suboxone, ultimately, I turned to Suboxone to solve that problem, and I wasn't turning to God.
Yeah.
And so my question is, like, can you differentiate being an addict like me, finding another solution when I have a solution and everybody's telling me this is a good solution?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Like, I had to come off of all substances in order to turn to God, and it had to get pretty bad.
Yeah. And I think sometimes too, man, like, you can't have something that is masking the true feeling or emotion that God has intended for you to go through. That is the thing that is going to bring us closer to Him. And I think in any room, whether you believe in God and Christ or not, like, you got to think of something higher than yourself. Now here, and the way I believe for sure is Jesus Christ is that answer. But regardless, like, you have to be put in the position to understand that something greater than yourself has to, heal your mind and get you in the position to where you're willing to do something about it anyway.
Yeah.
And medications like Suboxone for long periods of time, and when I say long periods of time, I'm talking about years and years, and like just being hooked on that and being chained, and to a doctor or whatnot. Like, that's not freedom. And so I think that is the true issue. Like, sobriety, yes, right, sober dates, great, whatever, but freedom. Like,
Yeah, true
freedom,
freedom,
man. Yes, true freedom. So what is true freedom? What does that look like?
True freedom for me is definitely the opposite of what I was living before I decided to start changing my life. You know, like right, it's it's being completely free of anything that attaches me to the world. Like being able to only depend upon God in order for the things I need for my happiness, in order to be able to function. Like I don't want to have to depend on taking a pill or taking a drink or anything like that in order to get through the day. And freedom is being able to do that, but then also have peace and acceptance about it.
Yeah.
See, I mean, like the problem too, man, is that a lot of people, and I'm gonna step on a lot of toes when I say this, and great, whatever, like inbox me, but it's through our pride and our being mad at God, like we are not willing to accept Him for who He is and what He is, and we have to understand that, like through God is the only way to have true and lasting freedom.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you go to these AA meetings and look, man, like inbox me, like we're ready for the hit. But I go in these meetings, and I was a huge proponent of NA, like in my early like recovery, and there were more people in there pissed off than, I mean, people I was getting high with. Like that's not freedom to me, man. That's anger. That's it's just being caged to something, and at the end of the day, like I didn't want that.
Yeah.
And like today, I understand that God is was my pathway to this true freedom. Like He says, it's for freedom that I set you free.
Yeah.
Like, and so you're supposed to live in that. You know what I mean? Like, it's the very reason that I set you free is so that you can live free, so that you can choose to not be attached to any sort of sin. You
Yeah.
know, so
And back in the day, when you said freedom, that would just mean to me like, okay, I'm not in jail right now, so I'm free. Basically,
isn't it the same thing though?
I mean, yeah, in a way, but I mean, I never knew what true freedom was until I got saved
Yeah.
in 2019.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Matt said. He said it's peace, man. It's like
Yeah.
this ultimate peace of not being shackled by anything, and that's not just substances. That's the world. That's so many different things. And obviously, as humans, we're going to have issues. We're going to have problems. We're going to have things. But I mean, it's all about surrounding yourself with good people and good places because there's toxicity everywhere, especially in the recovery community.
Yeah, for sure. I keep kind of going back to this, behavioral therapy, and it's because I'm really understanding more today, and that the just like a lot of people have written books, like the water is up here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally up here, and what does that look like? Like the Bible will tell us, be transformed by the renewing of the mind. Okay, and like different translations, they say, be transformed by changing the way that you think. And so, and I've been watching this lady on Facebook. She's really brash, but she's super intelligent. I don't even remember her name, and but she made a really good statement in this video I was watching yesterday, and she said, in those moments where you're being triggered, or you're being, you feel like you want to use, like you've got to do something different in that moment. She's like, go out to your car and sit in your car, like pick somebody up, call someone, like you are starting that new pathway in your brain and in changing the way you think. And so in the Bible, it tells us, in order to change the way you think, you got to think on truth. Like you take every thought captive, you bring it under the obedience of Christ, and then you think on truth. Like freedom, it says you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free.
Right.
And so, I mean, it all kind of works hand in hand. Like, how do you renew your mind? You replace it with the truth. Like, if something is telling you on the inside, and it's really you telling you this, that hey, like you need to go get high. Like, no, I don't. I need to walk outside and take a breath of fresh air. It's hard to do, but it's small steps in doing something new and changing the way you think. And it's science too, man. Like, it creates new pathways in your mind. So, to me, and what I've learned is that that's where the true and lasting freedom is at. And, the Word of God literally tells us that.
Yeah. And
Yep.
if you go ahead. I was gonna say, like, if you're still dependent on substances, you're never gonna experience
You're
that.
never going to experience that.
That's gonna be a barrier
Right.
the whole time you're on it. You're not gonna be able to move past that and get to the renewing of the mind, freedom, because you're still thinking that
Well,
exact
and
same
you're
way.
still numb.
You're
You know
still
what I
numb.
mean? You're
Yeah,
still numb. You're not feeling anything. What do opiates do?
yeah.
And
They
numb
numb
you.
you. Yeah,
And you take them so you don't have to experience that.
yeah,
And it's there. There just has to be a point in time where it's like, okay, I'm gonna put my big boy britches on, and I'm gonna walk through this. You know, he tells us he will be with us. It doesn't mean we're not gonna walk through it.
yeah.
So
And if you're on, I mean, and if you're on Suboxone, I don't care if you're taking it how it's prescribed, if you're abusing it, whatever. It comes down to the fact that you are still dependent, that you are still looking at your watch, you're counting down time until that next one. You're still pill counting, that's what you're thinking about. And I mean, that's the facility I work at now. I mean, we believe that nobody should leave treatment with prescriptions for these meds because I think that our my vision aligns with the facility's vision and the point that you're not going to be able to move forward until you get past this. So if you come in on Suboxone, we're going to taper you down.
yeah,
You know what I mean? We're going to taper you down. It's still going to hurt. I'm telling you, I have withdrawn and detoxed off of alcohol, benzos, opiates, and I'll tell you, Subutex was the worst.
Real bad.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's when I mean the I'm not gonna put names like the treatment facility that we met at. I went to detox at a medical place, and they detoxed me down. And when I left there, I was off of it and went into a faith-based ministry. And for several weeks, I just felt like crap, man.
Yeah.
But what I did is I pushed myself to be active, like to go outside, play volleyball, walk around, like do anything that gets that stuff out of your bones, man. And I mean, it took a few weeks, and even after that, like the post-acute withdrawal syndrome, man, like for months, dude. But at the end of the day, like by the grace of God, 9 years off of opiates, thank God, you know what I mean? Yeah,
and yeah, I mean, I went to that program, and it was it was put in me from early on in recovery that all medications are bad.
Right.
Period. I was beat over the head with that for a
Yeah.
year, to the point where I got out, and at 2 years clean, I started working in the secular recovery where a lot of doctors, where they're like, when you see a problem, your solution is, okay, so what can we prescribe you to help you deal with this? And that was a huge culture shock for me. So when I went into that, I was like, oh no, like this probably isn't for me, man. All they're doing is giving out meds, blah blah. But eventually, with education and basically and experience, I kind of got to the point where I was like, okay, medications serve purposes,
yeah,
and that's okay. It's okay. I mean, just because you get saved, I mean, if you're a diabetic and you get saved, that doesn't mean you have to stop taking
Well,
insulin.
and so
you know?
yeah, and so diabetes though, that is a physical
Yeah.
ailment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And maybe the way you ate caused that. Maybe it didn't. I forget which type it is. It's kind of like you're born with, and like I said, not a medical physician. Uh, and I think about like SSRIs.
Yeah.
Okay, SSRIs have helped my brain heal for the past 5 years because it was the bridging agent. Like I was able to have the little boost in order to deal with situations that I was never able to deal with before without popping off and snapping. But it was only like a 10% boost.
Right.
And over the past 5 years, like I've gradually like weaned down. And dude, like that's the goal, to get off of it. Like the bridge was long, right? It was 5 years
Yeah.
long, but that's kind of the goal. But that's my personal goal. You know
Yeah,
what
I
I mean?
absolutely had to do the same thing.
Yeah, my doctor, like he is in charge of all that. Like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that without him. So I think about it like this too. Like when I was on Suboxone, I woke up in the morning and I never forgot to take it.
Nope.
No.
Never forgot.
You forget to take the SSRIs.
I forgot to take
Oh,
it this
man.
morning. I
Why
had
do
an
I-
alarm set.
Why do I feel weird? I didn't take my medicine yesterday.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Hey, so guys, we got about 2 minutes wrapping up. Any final thoughts on this subject? Deeply controversial subject, but
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's clear. Like, if you look at statistics on like overdoses and harm reduction, like you were talking about, and like the ability to use it in a inpatient environment in order to try to stabilize someone that has been severely addicted to opiates. Like, I think there's a place, But then also, like, when we're talking about true freedom, like, true freedom to me is the fruits of the spirit, and like, can I actually gain those fruits being under the influence of something? I mean, it talks about in Luke, like, whenever the angel Gabriel came to Sarah and it's like, you're gonna have a child, It's talking about John the Baptist, like, but he can't have any strong drink, And can I still obtain the spirit, being under that influence? I don't know. I know for one thing, like, to be just frank with you guys, like, I never really did until I got off of everything.
Yeah.
thoughts.
The thing, I mean, if you want to get clean, if you want to get better, I applaud you, no matter what that looks like.
Right.
If you are out there doing fentanyl, if you're out there using street drugs, nowadays you never know what you're going to get. It's like playing Russian roulette out there. So if it's going to save your life, by all means, come in and we'll get you on Suboxone. You know what I mean? Like, we'll get you, and I will help anybody struggling. You know what I mean? But I can say, from my own personal experience, just like Matt said, that I never, ever experienced true freedom or had success in recovery. Any kind of time, any kind of, meeting goals, anything. I never got to that point when I was still, using, when I was still taking, whether it was Suboxone, any of it. Like, I never broke past that barrier. And I think that if that's what you really want, if you want to be clean, if you want a new life, I think you got to get past that barrier and put everything behind you and drop it all.
So I would say, and I would piggyback on that, and I would say is the goal in life to numb the pain of the past, or to get through the pain of the past in the proper way and move forward. I think that's probably my final statement there. Do you want to, like, man up and do this the right way in whatever path you have to take? Like, if that's a time period to where you need that bridge in life, then great, man. Like, if it's saving your life, but at the same time, let's try to break this mental barrier and go with what the true definition of sobriety really is, and that's a life without chemicals. Thank you guys for watching.
This is The Prodigal Perspective, presented by EA Recovery.